Hey, gorgeous people. It is Tips Tuesday. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing week. I am on my way to a meeting in Sydney, so I've pulled over on the side of the road to have a chat to you all about fear. So let me know if you are joining us. I'd love to hear your biggest fear. So like I said, if you are just joining us, I'm on my way to Sydney. I've pulled over to the side of the road to have a conversation with you all about what does it look like to run a business in the naturopathic world, and what happens when you come up against your biggest fear. So what are fears anyway? So what is it when it comes to being a naturopath, being a nutritionist, being a herbalist, being a practitioner, leaning on some of our woo-woo, leaning on some of our science? What is your biggest fear when it comes to being in practice, and what does it look like to be in business as well? The thing is, I reckon we won't have too many people joining in on this conversation because it's a scary thing to talk about your fears. But the cool thing is, as soon as you identify them, as soon as you look into the darkness and bring some light to it, it doesn't have the power that it has. So just like the Boogie Monster, just like Monsters Inc. Hey Kirsten, nice to see you. Cool that you are joining us for the conversation. What's your biggest fear? Like Monsters Inc., you know, I love Pixar movies. So there is the scary monster in the corner. We make it up in our head that it's like big and scary and it's going to kill us, maim us, you know, we're going to die from it. Part of ourselves is going to go with it when that big scary monster in the corner is going to get us. And then Monsters Inc., of all movies to watch, shares with us the big, cuddly, yummy, amazing monster that all he wants to do is look after Boo. The thing is, when we have a big fear and a big monster in the back of our minds about what could happen with our practice, what could happen with our life, what could happen with our business, guess what happens? We make it up in our heads and it sits over in the corner and we don't shine any light on it, and then it has all the power in the world, when in actual fact it's probably there to help us, just like one of the big blue monsters from Monsters Inc. Hey Chanel, and hey Karen, nice to see you. So what are our biggest fears? Now, I'm going to share with you guys, because there's a couple of you guys on here, and many people are going to click into this, freak out, not want to put their fears in, and jump right out of the conversation. So well done for staying in the conversation. But what are some of your biggest fears? For me, way back at the beginning, the biggest ones are imposter syndrome. What if I get found out that I don't know shit all, right? What if I get found, even though we've got qualifications up the wazoo, even though we've got so much experience? I know Karen, you've got so much experience as a homeopath internationally, and you have some of the most extraordinary wisdom. And but there's these moments, right? As every single human, we have these moments of, but what if I get found out that I don't know anything? Even though we have all of the evidence in the world to show that we do. What other fears do you have? Your monster's vibing right now, Karen. Oh my gosh, what about you? So what's the other one? Fear of failure. What happens if my business fails? Even though we don't know what failure looks like, often when I question people on this one, you can't describe what failure is going to look like. But fear of failure brings up all of this wonderful, extraordinary stuff in the background as well. What about fear of success? What does it look like if I get burnt out again? What does it look like if I am that successful that I don't have time for my family? What does it look like if, you know, all of these amazing things bubble up in the back of our brains where we're in so much fear? And then the fascinating thing about these fears is when we don't talk about them, they twist the way that we show up in the world. Just like in Monsters Inc., if Boo is scared of the monster in the background, she's going to come to a conversation with Mum, Dad, anybody else in the world, fearful, and everything is going to come out really differently to whether or not she feels held by and shines the light on that monster. Karen, my bully brain is in full tilt too. Oh, I love that. Our brains can do such amazing things for us, can't they? And then they do the other stuff as well. Hey, Rowena, nice to see you, lovely. So, what's your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear when it comes to being in practice? What's your biggest fear when it comes to being in business? And what's the biggest fear, your biggest fear when it comes to your life? If you are brave enough to shine a light on this fear and pop it in the comments section, I would love that, because in naming it and claiming it and seeing it for what it is, you're then going to lift a veil of stuff that you probably have had hiding over you. Now, when I was fearful that people would reject me because I asked for money in my practice, when I was fearful of that, it was like I had a veil of fear over me when I was going to ask for the money. And I came out in a really twisted kind of way. You know, when you, I've told this story before, but when you're dating and you're going on a date and you think, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have had the garlic for dinner, right? I shouldn't have had the garlic for dinner because my breath stinks. I'm fearful that he'll smell my breath or she will smell my breath. And I'm fearful that my guts is just going to drop at any minute and they're going to... And so when you show up to that date, you want to show your best. But you've got this thing going on here and you're kind of hiding and you're not talking quite right. And you're holding your bum in because you just don't want to drop anything out of there. And it's all like... Ugh! And all those fears literally change the way that you show up in the world. Now, I know that was like a big exemplified example of it. And it's not going to happen for everybody. But that's kind of what happens when your fears are hiding in the background and you're pretending that they're not there. Everybody in our profession is pretending on some level that you don't have a fear of all of the things. You're pretending that you're the expert. You're pretending that you've got all your shit sorted. You're pretending when in actual fact, we are all winging it. We are all shitting ourselves when we put ourselves out there and send out an email. We are all shitting ourselves when we're getting up on stage in front of people. We're all creating a little monster in the back of our brains and holding back parts of ourselves due to fear. So, if you've got the guts, if you want to lean into the bravery and the courage of popping up your fear, and so that other people know that they're not alone, so that you know that you're not alone, I highly encourage you to put one in the comment section. Once you shine a light on it, you can then know you're not alone. You then know that there is something that is there. Now, the vast majority of the time that fear is there is one, because you care. You care what other people think. You care about the people that you're trying to serve. You care. So don't ever take fear as something that is disempowering. Being fearful is hugely empowering when you see it for what it is, because you care. You care when you get up on stage that you're going to shit your pants. You care that that you're going to be there in your best form for that talk, and you're worried that you're going to fall over, because you care about the message that you're going to give. You care when it comes to trying to get your information out on social media or in other ways. You care. You care. That's why fear comes up in the first place. Second one is fear can take over you when you think it's about you. Because when we think it's about us, fear gets amplified. It goes, yeah, I'm going to feed it. And it turns into this mega monster, ego monster as well. And so fear can get amplified when we think it's about us, when we think the judgment is coming to us from somebody else. When that is all coming back in here, fear amplifies. The cool thing about that big monster is as soon as you turn it around and make it about the people that you're serving, the people that you're here to help, fear starts to diminish. The other cool thing about fear is just like running a race, if you stay in your own lane and serve the people you're here to serve, that fear diminishes. So 1, need to shine a light on it and identify it. 2, fear is so useful and so empowering because you give a shit, because you care. 3, fear is going to it's going to amplify if you're making it about you, or you're worried about other people's judgments of you, because your ego, monster's ego, the fear monster just thrives on that stuff. Yeah, it's all about everybody. But turn it around and be present to what you can actually give for somebody else, rather than what you can get, what you can give, and the whole thing diminishes and changes. All right, so what do we got here? Chanel. My policies, legals, and procedures are holding me back, and I don't have my shit sorted. Who else has a fear that they don't have their legals sorted? Who else has a fear that their procedures and systems and processes aren't in place? Who else has a fear that that they don't have all their shit sorted? Because in truth, me! Every year, I have a meeting with Michelle Whitehead, my lawyer. And of course I leave that to the last minute. Of course I leave that too long. And then I go and have a meeting with her. And before, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I didn't have any of that stuff in place. And I was scared all the time. And the beautiful thing was, when I made it about me and my fear monster grew, the universe heard the fear monster, and I got audited. I got all sorts of legal action taken so that I could turn it back around and be empowered by it and care. And the beautiful thing about Michelle is she's a lawyer who gives a shit. And being able to put care-related procedures in place for other people was a game changer for me. So totally hear you, Chanel. I am with you. And I bet you're not alone. Kelly, I think my biggest fear is people seeing who I really am. Yep. I'm with you on that one. I'm literally on the side of the highway driving down to a meeting in Sydney. I'm not in my professional kind of in the world that I usually show myself in. I'm not with my beautiful background. I'm literally on the side of the road. Fear of people seeing who I really am. I have been living under an assumed persona for so long that the real me was lost. I used to think that too. And then it just takes one thing. Just doing one thing and showing up as you. One truthful, vulnerable, and fucking scary, but really courageous post to be able to do that, right? Awesome. So you're not alone, Kelly. You're not alone. It's one of the biggest fears for a lot of people that, it comes back around. It comes back around and comes back around. For people to see who we really are and still be accepted anyway. I mean, it's a core fear to be a human and then be shunned by our tribe. So, yeah. But what do? You feel the fear and show up anyway. Beautiful. Hey, Charlene. Kirsten, failure and not knowing enough. Who else has a fear of failure? Yes. Totally, I've had plenty of those. Oh, actually, I'm in the middle of a launch right now. I have total fear of failure. And I lean in and I show up for everybody who I'm here to show up and serve for, and I do it anyway. Right? And not knowing enough. We all do that. Please put your hand up and press a like button if you have a fear of not knowing enough. We are all extraordinary learners and healers, and as such, we are consistently wanting to know more and know more and know more. And part of that is feeling like we don't know enough. But the beautiful thing is, once we turn it around, turn that fear around and show up for the person that's in front of us, show up for the person who's about to show up in front of us, who we're here to serve, changes the whole thing. Beautiful. Kelly, fear of being wrong. Yes, that is a great perler one that stops so many people from appearing on social media. And the cool thing is, once you appear as you actually do a stuff up, because you're human and every other human on the planet does something wrong at some point in time, you realize that you can still show up anyway. But yeah, totally massive fear of being wrong. Love that, Kelly. Karen, beautiful. Chanel's agreeing with Chanel there. And Carissa, I always let the fear of not being perfect stop me. Oh, yes, perfection, procrastination, I love it. Stop you from finishing things and showing up on video. Imposter syndrome has been really strong at times. Yeah. I hear you, girlfriend. Totally. And isn't it amazing? Like, I'm literally on the side of the road. And see those plants over there? They're never going to be perfect. But how perfect is nature? It's perfect in its imperfections. Now, I'm not trying to fix everybody's fears, but I want you to all know that you're not alone in your fears and that there are ways out of it. And when we feed the fear by making it about all of us instead of making it about everyone else, something can shift and change in it. So you guys all have just as much courage as you do fear. And you have every opportunity in any moment to step into the power of your courage and lean in, feel the fear anyway, because it's a beautiful thing to be able to feel fear. It's incredibly empowering because you actually care. And I really want you to get that. It's really important as healers, as practitioners, as business owners, as carers of family and furry friends, that you care. That's what a fear is there for, that it's going to impact you or the people around you. And it's really important to know that on the flip side of that is courage. And you all have that inside you as well. So my beautiful takeaway from this is, where can you feel the fear? Identify it. If you're watching this on the replay, please join in the conversation down in the comments section. Put out your fear and then turn it around. And what could you do that's courageous today and show up anyway for the people you're here to help? So Carissa, you've just put it in. I have an intention to show up on Instagram stories each day, and I'm about to show up on day 2. You showing up consistently inspires me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Carissa. So this is the thing, right? I have a massive fear about, not being able to help 7,000 practitioners. What if I fail in my mission about not being able to help 7,000 practitioners? What if I fail in my mission to be able to change the paradigm of the way that we do business? And what if not everybody will get the idea of competition versus collaboration and how we can all rise together? What if, I've got all of that going on, and here I am on the side of the highway showing up anyway. So please share your fear and then share what courage you're going to be taking this week to step into what it looks like on the other side of that. I know, Chanel, you're also leaning into the fear, and because we're not going to, the fear's not going to disappear. This is the thing, right? We're going to shine a light on it and embrace it. And Chanel, you're redoing all of your legals and your policies at the moment because it's a scary thing, but you're leaning in with courage and doing it anyway. And that's my suggestion for you guys today. It's my Tuesday tip, and I'll be in here at 11:11 tomorrow on We Connect Wednesday for a really special episode, and I will see you then. Bye!